Howdy folks, Bluesboyjag here yet again, and yet another 3-string cigar box guitar lesson, and yet another shuffle cigar box guitar lesson. You're wondering how many billions and trillions of shuffles are there, Jag? Well, there's probably 2.3 trillion, I don't know. There's a whole bunch. This one is slightly different. Well, I picked up my guitar and I accidentally used my first fingers on the second and first string instead of the second and third, which is normally how I used to do it. But I thought, yeah, let's go back to that. Let's do a nice simple shuffle. So what I've got here is an A string down to G, and a D string normal to D, G string normal to G. Open G tuning. Thumb is on the third string, and my first finger is on the second string, and my second finger is on the first. So what I'm doing here is playing the bass note first. Well, almost. The very, very first pluck, I'm plucking all three. So what I'm doing here is thumb on the third string, first finger on the second, second finger on the third. As you can tell, I'm choking every single strum. Well, not really strum, I'm actually plucking. Like this. Pinky is anchored on the guitar. So, oh, by the way, I've got lots of reverb and lots of distortion on my amp. Old-fashioned 1950 sound. Also, if you pluck way down here towards the bridge, it's a little bit brighter. So what I'm doing here is all three strings, and I'm walking up from 0 to 2 to 3 and back down. Real slow. So I'm doing a walk up there. I'm using my first finger and I'm plucking all three strings, and I'm only walking on the third string. 0, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when I get to 5, I'm ready to do that next shuffle. So I'm barring all the way across. Pinky is 2 frets above the first finger. Then I walk the pinky up and back down. Not doing anything with the second or third fingers, just the first and the pinky. And I'm choking with this hand because I'm plucking the strings. Just to make it sound funky. No particular reason. I'm also choking all of those strums with either the left hand or the right hand, and sometimes both. And you're like, what? Why are you not choking with just one hand? And why are you doing both hands and you're going back and forth between both hands? Actually, I don't know how to answer that question. It's just the way I do it. What I mean by that is I'm lifting these fingers off the fretboard but not off the string, which chokes them. I'm also choking with the right hand because this is what's happening. So I'm choking all three strings basically. I'm lifting up with this hand, but I'm also choking by the sheer fact that I'm doing this all the time, taking my fingers off. So that's sort of a convoluted way to explain it, but I'm really basically choking with both hands This hand lifts off the fretboard, and this hand kills the strings after I pluck them. So it's kind of a double choke, I guess you'd say. So back to the top. Now, that was the second string that I'm walking up for a shuffle, which is a little bit different. This is the first string. So you've probably heard that a lot more often than this. So I'm going to stick with that first string for a second. All the cool stuff happens with the right hand on this particular riff. Now I'm going to walk up. On that one, I'm playing all three strings, and I'm only walking up on the third string, which is very cool. And that sounds pretty bad right there, doesn't it? Sounds like I'm drunk. It's supposed to sound exactly like that, but it's only that sounding that way for a split second, so it doesn't really sound all that bad. Now I'm up at the 4 chord, which is the 5th fret. And I follow through with that same procedure, keeping my first finger barred on the 5th fret, walking up with my pinky. You can use your third finger and your pinky. I prefer to use my pinky. I'm not using the other 2 fingers at all, just my first finger and my pinky. The gist of the whole thing. Make sure you're using your 2 fingers and your thumb to pluck on your right hand. If you notice, I'm choking every single one of those because I just love to do that. I don't do very many shuffles that are just like this. I really like to do that funky choking shuffle. I guess that's what you'd call it, choking shuffle. Now, what was that little thing you did there? That's an optional way of doing it. That last strum is the open G. Now here's the walk up. I'm walking up that 3rd string, but I'm also playing the open top 2 strings, which sounds very cool. This is a traditional walk-up. The interesting thing is there's a lot of dissonance in there. It sounds like I'm drunk if you slow it way down. Watch this. Especially right there. It sounds like a guitar just got thrown off the steps, right? But it's supposed to sound exactly like that. Now I'm barring on the 5th fret for that 4 chord. 5th fret, 4 chord, that's hard to say. So that's a D chord, and I'm doing the exact same shuffle. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Maybe I did tell you earlier, I don't remember. Choking with this hand for that open chord. Whenever you see that, that's a choke with, obviously, that hand. That's your 5 chord, which will be D in the key of G, and then we go down to your 4 chord, which is C. So you can can continue to do that shuffle, or you can do a turnaround, which would be just one example. The turnaround always takes you to the 5 chord. The 5 chord is the 5th chord in the key. In this case, G, A, B, C, D. So the turnaround takes you to the 5 chord of whatever key you're in. So that's pretty much it. It's just a slightly different way of doing a shuffle. It's also very funky because everything is choked. Notice one thing here that I forgot to show you. That little right there is choked because that's an open chord, so I'm choking with all 3 fingers, just lightly letting them flop on the strings. Obviously right there when I choke, I'm just lifting that finger off. Whoops, I missed that. You know what I meant to do. So that's the 5 chord on the 7th fret. Same shuffle I did before. Now we go down to the 4 chord. Now here's my favorite part. I really like that. So I'm walking down, playing the 2nd string, 1st string, and the 2nd string again. Then I'm sliding back like I showed you a minute ago. So you get the idea from there on out. All right, so now how do we solo on this one? Where do we play? Well, there's lots of different places we can play. First, let's take it easy down here. We're going to be playing 3-0 on all 3 strings. And you're like, how do you play solo just with those notes? Well, imagine the rhythm. Got that chugga chugga rhythm. Bum, ba-dum, ba-dum. First thing I would do, start around the 3rd fret. And you're going to be playing the 3rd fret and then the 0, which is the open string for all 3 strings. The key of G, that's your open chord, and that fits just perfectly. So what happens if we go to the 4 chord, which is C in the key of G? Nothing. You can still play that same scale. So the easy way to start out is 3-0, 3-0, 3-0. And you're like, how do you play a solo just with those notes? Now we have to get fancy by doing some hammer-ons and pull-offs. Well, not really fancy. It's easy. That's what he said. I'm just going up and down and basically playing 0-3 on all 3 strings. So I'm using that 1st string, 3rd fret, and 0. Same thing on the 2nd, same thing on the 3rd. And you can pull off too. So this is the key right there. So we can end on that note too. So check out some of my other lessons. I've got hundreds and hundreds on this channel. Different options for improvising in the blues key, pentatonic scales, and all that stuff. You don't have to play a lot of notes when you're soloing. Just make it sound cool, right? You can keep it real simple, straightforward to start out, and you can get fancy later. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and keep those cards and letters coming for your request, rock and roll request, country request, metal request, whatever. I'll see what I can figure out. Scales, all that stuff. I'm getting a whole bunch of people asking about scales, which is great. So please subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time.